All right, everyone, we should be live. We'll make sure that's actually the case. We have a loaded news docket today as usual, including some breaking news with regards to the Uvalde Police Department. Caffeine slowly kills you, says Pete the Great. False. Caffeine probably extends your lifespan. New studies showing no correlation between caffeine intake, including high levels of caffeine intake, and heart attacks and strokes. That is medical disinformation. Yes, Kitty, you can be on the stream too if you want. Of course you can. Not like I can stop you. Yes, we're live on Rumble. Well, come on. Yeah. Wow. She's got something to say to the world, I guess. And showing her asshole at the same time. What have you got to say? Yeah. That's what you think about Uvalde police. I concur, basically. Just a moment here. I've got to distract the cat too. Here, why don't you lay down? Yeah, be our Daichapoose. Yeah, please don't knock my sword down again. That was a difficult issue. I like how she sounds more like a dolphin sometimes than a cat. You a dolphin? Aquatic kitty? She does have a very cute meow. Anyway, we have a lot of news to cover. But first and foremost, I wanted to make an announcement. We are riding up very close now to 500,000 YouTube subscribers. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, I do ask that you share out my channel and my content to other people cross-platform. Post it to your boomer book wall or InstaFuck or whatever. Because once you hit 500,000 subscribers, a little birdie, or several, who are connected with certain people that are in the know in tech have told me that the algorithms that tend to hold independent content creators back, they let up somewhat once you hit that threshold. It used to be 100,000. It used to be if you had a partner channel, so you've hit 100,000 subs or you happen to represent some sort of significant brand. It used to be that the algorithms would leave you alone. They apparently changed it more recently to 500,000 subscribers, which, I mean, kind of makes sense. They shouldn't have a priority system, but a lot of people have 100,000 subs. Very few hit 500,000. And so if you can get me over that threshold, especially before midterms, it would be very, very helpful to red pill the masses and white pill them too. There are no black pills allowed on the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer channel. We're allowed to talk about negative things, but then we try to promote solutions to them. That is the way that people should go. But yeah, we have a lot of news today, starting with Uvalde, which is something that I didn't know actually was a thing until about an hour ago. I was tipped off to it. There is new leaked footage with regards to the police response in the Uvalde mass shooting. It's not pretty. And I'm not going to post the unedited version that has literally the screaming of the children in it, although that does exist. I'm not going to link that out. It's horseshit. All the cops from Uvalde should be fired. At a bare minimum, they should be fired and stripped of the ability to be cops ever again. Jana66, hi, Sticks. The left fears the spoon. Clank. Hunter Wadley is a fan of Tim Pool as well. I agree with you, Sticks. There are things that DeSantis can't do, while Trump can go scorched earth on the establishment. Yes, Tim Pool is wrong with regards to the viability of both DeSantis and Trump. He seems to be black-pilled about that subject. Now, I would like to ask people something, and I'll be making a video about this tomorrow. If you think that the system has been fortified, if you think that it is genuinely crooked in some way, and so Trump can't win, Trump, he won't get the votes because he can't. Why would you think that DeSantis could if he was not an establishment pick and not just an astroturfed candidate? Why would you vote at all at that point? If you're that black-pilled, then, that option is off the table. My thought is that Trump should run. He should be the nominee. And even if he loses, he'll break the toys in the meantime for months to come. And that's what we need. J-Dog, let DeSantis run in 2028. I want Trump and Rand Paul in 24. Rand Paul, DeSantis, 28 and 32. And then DeSantis has his chance once he has more experience. Arguably, one of the problems is, he's only in his mid-40s. He's not an old dude. He's only got a little bit of gubernatorial experience, and he's doing an excellent job as governor. That doesn't mean he'd do an excellent job as president. We've had people that have had distinguished careers within politics who go on and they do shit job as president. We also have people with no experience like Trump who do a good job as president. Let's see here. Just a second here. Also, the other problem is that DeSantis would have probably lost without Trump's endorsement. He won by, 2 points after being endorsed by Trump? He was the underdog, so sort of owes Trump a little bit there. Personally, I think that he won't run anyway. I think he'll stand aside and let Trump run and say, fuck. Tark McCoy, push the button. No, Joe, not that one. I hope that there are safeguards in place to prevent such a situation from happening. So yeah, we'll go to the first news story here. New York Post link. Links in the description, by the way, to all of the things that we're covering today. Disturbing new footage shows Salvador Ramos roam Uvalde school halls, cops running away from gunshots. Yes, the pussy cops of Uvalde, all of which should be ostracized and shunned openly by the entire community. Find out their identities and shun them. They go into your business, turn your back on them. You have to serve them, but you don't have to do it with a smile. You see them on the streets, turn around very, very conscientiously and wait while they pass. Literally ostracize them from society and shame them until they leave your fucking community, because they don't deserve to be part of that community. They don't really deserve anything at this point. These are pussies, roided up miscreant cunts. That's the entire Uvalde police force, I suppose. There are a couple of them that tried to do their jobs whose kids happened to be in the building, and that was basically it. Think about it this way, and you've got the footage here, which was just released. Salvador Ramos is killing a bunch of elementary school kids. You got a shit ton of cops in the building, and they effectively do nothing. You've got one part in here, it's surreal, where one cop is using the hand sanitizer at one point while waiting in the hallway. Another one's leaning against the wall, typing on his phone. Are you goddamn mental? Jesus Christ. And you got to realize, now there's some mental disability, I think, among these cops too, because they have to know that there are cameras in the school. So they have to know that they're being recorded, right? And they're still doing this shit. It's nuts. And then they detained several parents who tried to enter the building. And some bootlicking apologists are saying, well, you don't know anything about breaching a building. It takes a lot of effort. Can't they do what they did in Albuquerque and burned up a 14-year-old and killed him improperly while raiding an address that was not actually subject to a crime? Can't they use a flashbang? Is it impossible to use tear gas? He wasn't wearing a gas mask at the time. Is there no other way to disable him and then march in and pound him in the fucking skull so that you save some of these kids from dying? But instead, they sat there for about an hour in the hallway like pussies and waited. All of them are disgraces to the badge. They're disgraces to the United States. This is why we need universal open carry in the United States. The teachers should be armed. Hell, the students should be bringing their sporting rifles to school like they did back in the 50s. Guarantee there'd be less school shootings. Yeah, there's guns everywhere. Yeah, and most of them pointed at you if you do anything wrong. Bunch of pussies. They're cowards. There's no other way to put it. They're retards. The cops in this situation completely flunked even the most basic premise of doing their job. They have completely failed at. The commissioner, I think, stepped down, but I think most of these cops, they're on a administrative leave. They'll be quietly entered back into the force because of the blue wall of silence, probably. So to the people of Uvalde, you're being guarded by pussies. They're more than willing to tase and cuff a parent for trying to save their kids. They are totally not willing to actually be the ones saving your kids. Your police force is comprised of pussies, cowards, little cunts. Little titty babies. What should happen, this is my idea for police reform, is that metro forces shouldn't even exist. It should be all elected sheriffs and constables, provided under the Constitution, by the way, so that they're beholden to people. The sheriff is elected, the constables are elected, the sheriff deputizes peoples, and of course, in so doing, you have to make sure they're of a good character. You have to make sure they're not going to pussy out like the Uvalde Metro Police did, because otherwise you lose your job. Make their jobs requisite upon actually doing their job, and you will have better police in the United States. Make sure they're policing just the community they're from, and they will be more respectful and more respected. That system worked throughout most of the United States for a very long time. There never seemed to be any problems with it. Kim Anthony, hi Sticks, are you familiar with Monster Magnet? Great stoner rock band. Never heard of him. Kilroy was here. First time catching a stream live since the 2018 midterms. Been watching for years. Love what you do. Thank you. Let's see. Sigilstone 17. You should look into what's been happening to Pittsburgh's South Side. They elected a leftoid mayor, and now the popular business district is a war zone. Many such cases. Oh, so it's turned into Venezuela. Who could have possibly guessed? EpicMan004. Shout out to Lord Bogdanov on YouTube. He's hilarious. Yeah, so as far as the Uvalde cops go, you can, again, link in the description. You can look into that yourself. I'm not going to post the unedited footage with the kids screaming audio because it's just not necessary. Probably if I linked it out, I'd get a strike on YouTube. It's interesting. Pussy cops can let a bunch of kids die, but you're not allowed to report on it, frankly. Sort of like war footage. People, you can fund a third world nation and they bomb 100 orphans, but if you post footage of it anywhere on the mainline internet, all of a sudden it's a problem. Yes, kitty. Why don't you go outside? It's too hot to snuggle. It's about 80 fucking degrees. Going to be almost 100 degrees next week. And this is in the Netherlands. Nice temperate coastal climate. There's a bunch of pictures of them. They've got all their roided out guns and shit like that. Hey, lolberals out there. Don't these look like people that are compensating with their literal combat armor and their actual high-powered and in many cases literally military-style weapons? Yeah, I would think that they're the ones compensating and they're a bunch of pussies. The average gun owner, some of them wanted to enter the building. They would have liquidated that kid way quicker. I love that one with the hand sanitizer. Footage shows a cop reach for hand sanitizer during the chaos. There's an active shooter situation. You're so in fear of your life, you're not willing to breach the next room, but you've got time to sanitize your hands. Oh shit, I wouldn't want to give COVID to the corpses of all of these elementary school children. The footage also shows the cops' fruitless hunt for keys to the classroom, which turned out to not even have been locked. Nobody thought to try the door. Nobody had the intelligence to do that. Apparently, in some metro forces, there's an IQ test that they go through, and if your IQ is too high, they won't hire you. They don't want people that are free thinkers because you might disobey orders. Again, there's a reason why I suggest an all-elected police force in the United States. Get rid of all the stadies. Get rid of the metro. Get rid of these pigs. These people are pigs. They're not doing their job. Oh, a bunch of kids died? Well, that's okay. Can I have my pension now? I'm on administrative leave. Fucking pay me. Pussies. It'd be funny. What they should do, they should replace their force with all elected sheriffs. Then charge these people with accessory to murder for not doing their job and drag them out of their fucking house in a no-knock raid at 3 a.m. Just grab them by the hair and fucking drag them out, beating their asses the entire time. I mean, they put their hands up over their head. They're resisting arrest. You have to tase them, right? Treat them like they treat Peter the Pothead. That'd be a more just world. Make an example of these fuckers. EpicMan004. Oh, I already read that one out. He doesn't deserve 2 shout-outs. Nobody needs 2 shout-outs. Or 2 scoops of ice cream. Garrett Thomas. Hi from Maine, Sticks. Have my custom Nice Mask loser bumper stickers coming in today. Excited to have them on the back of my car. I support this idea. Maine is a funny state. Apparently people up there, if you put ketchup on your baked beans, they get angry. It's like, I don't need ketchup on my baked beans. I'm a Vermonter. We use maple syrup generally, but it's not bad. Aesthetic. When you get a semi-auto rifle, what sort of sight will you use? I'm considering a primary low-powered optic and a canted red dot sight on my next gun. I'm not exactly sure. I would like to get an M14 style rifle because those are sexy as fuck. And a few others, but mostly I'm a revolver man. Yes, I prefer revolvers. I want a 357. That's definitely on my list. And I was checking the one of the local gun stores in Rutland, and not that long ago in one of their updates on Farcebook, which I don't even log into at this point, but I did see their page. They had several tactical pistols. I'm like, oh shit, I know what I would be buying if I was there. I got some money burning a hole through my pocket. I need guns. Pilgrim Media, Hail Sticks, your thoughts on Ripa hitting $1 million? I got no clue what that refers to. I don't greasy 1776. Hey man, you crush it. Bought several books. Are you at all interested in buying a pistol caliber carbine like the Ruger PCC when you're stateside? I'm interested. I really want to check Scorpion. Those are good. Or any tactical pistol in 5.7. Yes, I know it's a meme round, blah, blah, blah. No, if you get the penetrating rounds, it will eat through level 3 body armor like it was a piece of butter. Could be useful, in Antifa attacks. I want an M14 because, a bear might wander out of the woods. And I really love revolvers. Basically, if I can only choose one kind of class of firearms, I would just choose revolvers. Easy to maintain. They look sexy. Come in a variety of calibers. Very functional. You don't have to worry about the kind of jamming and shit you have with normal handguns if you have a revolver. Yeah, the Craig Palmer, the hand sanitizer cop moment was awful. Talk about understatement. This dude still has his job. He has not been fired yet, apparently. None of these people have been fired. They're on leave. Paid leave, I think. Only 6 shots, though, says Kamikaze Elks in regards to revolvers on Twitch. No, actually, many revolvers have more than 6 shots. You're talking about like the old Western revolvers. I've got an HR Sportsman back at home that carries 9. It's 22, so, that applies. You can get a 38 special that'll carry 8. So it's no different than a 1911 handgun. Jeffrey Duran. Hello, Sticks and Friends. About to KO for a nap, but here's 20 for Biden baby diapers and energy drinks with a bag of limes. Look forward to watching this on replay and hearing this read out loud from warm Los Angeles. Now, you should have kept it. If you're in Los Angeles, you should have spent the money on a body armor or something at this point. Or so it's probably $20 for a bag of almonds by now down there. Mojo Hansen, Biden and Harris are half a point apart in approval. Watching Dem voters cry while eating that sandwich is gold. And Dylan Butler sent $7.99 Australian or Austrian. I'm not sure which one it is. No comment. Thank you very much. Now people are talking about guns the whole time. Then we have the next story. The euro and the US dollar are at parity for the first time in 20 years. Now, what you might be saying, and what I suspect Biden will be saying later at some point, well, come on, man, I done raised the dollar real good. The dollar's worth a whole lot more. This is the strongest the US dollar's been in 20 years. What they will neglect to say is that this is the collapse of the euro as the result of the energy war with Russia. It's destroying the Eurozone's currency. By the way, as an expat who is denominated in US dollars, because all of the sites that I use that I make money off of happen to be denominated in US dollars, I'm loving it because that means my money is worth a lot more. I hope the euro continues to fall. And in fact, I hope the Eurozone collapses. I've been predicting for years that it's weakening. And it's partially because it's reliant on fuel from countries that it is now openly hostile towards. So fuck the euro. The US dollar is king. Just as predicted, by the way. Mega Sea Monkey. Morning Sticks, had 3 hours of sleep. Woohoo! Time to crack a monster for this 8-hour shift. Right now, because these, unfortunately, have not been restocked at the store and they don't sell them at the Albert Heijn. Best energy drink, by the way, sugar-free 9s. These are made in the Netherlands. I'm going to import a crate of them to the United States if it's legal, by the way, because they're so much better. Unfortunately, I have to use sugar-free Red Bull. I prefer sugar-free energy drinks. I've gotten the taste for them. They're actually better. Not watching my weight or anything like that. It's just genuinely the taste is superior generally. There are exceptions, of course, but generally. I used to love the sugar-free NOS energy drinks. I don't even know if they fucking make that anymore. Those were way more powerful. Those had, God, I can't remember how many milligrams of caffeine the NOS sugar-frees had in them. Used to drink them every single day, 2 of them, 2 doubles every day when I was at UVM. Christy Goddard. I think Taco Bell paid Jill Biden for taco comment knowing tacos would trend all day on Twitter. After hours of pics, I was coerced into driving 20 miles to get some. They are diabolical. See, I make real tacos, as in the kind that actual Mexicans would make, because I learned from actual Mexicans when I was down in southern Texas. They are not made the way that the Tex-Mex sort of crowd makes them. If the taco shell is one of those box brands, the brown hard ones, it's not a real taco. If the taco hasn't at least been cooked in some way, you don't have to fry it necessarily, although that's more authentic street food. But if it's served cold, it's not really an authentic taco. I've had so many tacos in my life from so many different backgrounds. And the best ones I've ever had are the ones that I make myself. I will fry it. Yes, there will be seasoned meat in it. And I'll make my own seasoning too, by the way. I'm not getting a fucking spice packet when I can make it myself for half the price. And it will have all sorts of goodies in it. It's not meant to be healthy. Yeah, of course, there's tomato and there's avocado potentially, or lettuce or whatever. Those are all healthy for you. But the taco itself is not meant to be a health food. Hippies, fucking New England hippies, think that a taco is supposed to be a pile of vegetables and unseasoned turkey ground whatever on an uncooked shell or something. Californians think that it's meant to be a goddamn meme. It's a crunchy shell with vegetables in it, and maybe some cumin wandered through it once in its life. I guarantee if you tried my tacos, you would like them more than virtually. I mean, unless your mamacita fucking makes them authentic from Monterey or something, you'd like mine more. Mojo Hansen, inflation report is due today. I predict 8.9%. Oh, another prediction fulfilled. What did I say earlier on Twitter? I expected that when I was live streaming, we would get the inflation report. Thanks, thanks, Fed. Yeah. I would have liked to have put you in the tags. A lot of people would be searching for that. Anyway, Citadel Stone 17. If BRICS issues its own currency, do you think it'll help China limp for longer? And how much will China be able to pillage from the other members? Yes, China will drain Brazil and South Africa dry, as it already is. I hope that they realize that that's the whole fucking goal. India is on parity with China, and then they bankroll Russia in order to use them as a military muscle, mainly. Yeah, if they can issue their own currency if they want. It'll become a reserve currency. You have 5 major economies. They've all pulled together. They've got like a euro thing going on. It could actually work. It'd probably be more, by the way, if China's not the only one running it, and there are economists and bankers in other countries that have leeway in the currency, it might make it more fair. China right now fucks with its currency all the time, artificially devaluing it for trade purposes, etc. If other countries were involved, they might not get away with it as much. China should probably rethink the strategy. Lucas L. Twitter gave me a timeout yesterday for telling an anti-gun senator from Illinois to sit on a chainsaw. Totally worth it. Did you see the latest polling with regards to what's his name there in Texas? Fucking I can't remember. Cornine. I know it's technically Cornyn, but I call him Core Wine, and it rhymes, so I'm right anyway. He's probably going to lose his job. Unfortunately, he's only up in 2026, so he has more years to be a complete cuck. Hopium Gardener, hello Sticks. Have you ever played Kingdom Come Deliverance? It's a hardcore survival RPG set in medieval times. No, but I have heard of it. I've heard good things about it. Anyone play Red Dead Redemption 2? Is that any good? That's a big open world game. It looked like it was meme worthy. The Cancer Man, Sticks, do you think intelligence tests should be implemented for voting and political commentary? Love the work, keep clanking to haters. No, because who administers the tests? That's the whole problem. All right, so the euro and US dollar are now roughly equivalent. The euro's been worth a lot more than the dollar for years now. And now finally, us expats get our comeuppance. We're no longer getting screwed when we go to the ATM. Now then, we have other important news. This was going to be one of the mains, but then the Uvalde leak dropped, so I had to cover that first instead. Additional videos show how disgraceful Alvin Bragg's prosecution of Jose Alba is. Yes, Jose Alba, bodega owner, owns one of those little fly-by-night sort of fucking things in Manhattan. And the DA there has decided to charge him, I think, with murder, if I remember correctly. He was attacked by another individual who was clearly larger, much younger, and he stabbed him. in order to defend himself after having been stabbed actually by the dude's girlfriend at one point. And he's been charged with a crime for quite clearly defending himself. The excuse that's being used by the prosecution, and this is why I tell people be very careful with like self-defense and shit, with firing warning shots, deployment of weapons of any kind. You have to be very knowledgeable about these things depending on the state. According to the DA in Manhattan, it is not acceptable to escalate the situation by whipping out a knife to defend yourself just to avoid getting beaten. Now, let me ask you this. We're a nation of citizens, supposedly. Should a person have to submit to a beating by another person because his pissed off girlfriend wasn't allowed to rob a bag of chips from your fucking nightstand? In order to, you can't defend yourself, you have to just submit to the beating. That's effectively what the New York, the Manhattan DA is saying here. Now, they're getting dragged even by elements of the liberal media. They should drop the charges and just very quietly tell that the prosecutor to go fuck himself. That probably won't happen, though. They'll probably go through with it. I can't imagine a jury is going to convict because he clearly acted in self-defense. We have plenty of footage from this. He was attacked. He was being robbed and was attacked again. And then he decided to defend himself to stop the attack. It's clear-cut self-defense. Thanks to the New York Post, we have additional videos that help cement Alba's self-defense claims. The first video shows the unidentified girlfriend of Simon yelling that she is going to bring Simon down and he's going to fuck you up. The entire incident allegedly started when Alba grabbed a bag of chips from the woman's daughter after, as the video shows, her card declined repeatedly. He is going to come down here right now and fuck you up, she repeated. The video then cuts to when Simon arrives, showing him walking behind the counter where Alba is working and cursing at him repeatedly, while Alba tells him repeatedly the card wasn't working and that I don't want a problem. The video cuts again to the aftermath when police arrived after Simon had been stabbed, his girlfriend still in the store. See, the problem is that Jose Alba was attacked. He was attacked by another individual. Hey, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Punch, punch, punch. Okay, well, at some point you have the right to defend yourself. Unless you happen to be in New York. If you're in New York, of course, you're not allowed to do jack shit. They'll probably try to claim that Jose Alba is a white supremacist. No, he just wanted an excuse to stab a black man. All over a bag of chips. I can hear the liberals now. Why would you stab someone? Why didn't you just let her take the chips for free? Probably what'll happen. Oh, let's see. Michaela Urban, I'm so happy you and Sleazy have teamed up for the upcoming political season. You both have my utmost respect. Also, congrats on your little girl. She's so lucky to have a cool dad like you. At the moment, I'm an overheated dad because we're going through a mini heat wave. That's why I probably look a little bit shiny. And I washed my face off and did my hair and shit before the stream, but I'm just sweating like a stuck pig. I can't help it. Thank you for the $20, though. I'll put it to good use of buying diapers. I would buy energy drinks, but they haven't restocked them yet. Looks like I'll be running on empty. I do have a stash, of course, behind me, but that'll only last a day. Josh Eternal, longtime fan here. I made a video about how my landlord has been illegally harassing me. Was wondering if you'd be willing to use your reach to share it. I can take a look at that. If you will DM me the direct link, I'll take a look at it. No promises, though, because, of course, I don't generally insert myself in legal situations, generally speaking. But I will take a look at it, and if it's juicy enough, yeah, I'll share it out. Matthew Scallion, I disagree with the argument that you're not making real tacos if you do X instead of Y. I'm Italian and hate hearing Olive Garden is fake Italian. Every food is valid regardless of how it's made. Well, Olive Garden is fake Italian. To be clear, I also make authentic Italian foods. I make a kick-ass spaghetti. Yes, I make my own sauce. No, I do not break the spaghetti noodles when I cook them. I know the ropes of these things. I make my own pizza sauce, too. Made chili not that long ago. It was great. I can make certain Italian foods, Asian foods, and I try to make them as authentic as possible because it's, part of the point. By the way, I don't go to restaurants generally. I'd rather cook my own food. Hopium Gardener, Andy Knows, shared a video of a man in Brisbane, Australia being stabbed in the neck. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. Can't unsee. Sounds like a fun video. I've seen all sorts of weird shit. I use 4chan, so. Mojo Hansen. The parody vid of Hunter Biden asking people for crack in Congress is effing hilarious. I haven't seen that one. Long Don John. Which prosecution of self-defense was more egregious, Rittenhouse or Alba? Rittenhouse, by a long mile. In this case, of course, say, well, I mean, he was trying to beat the shit out of the dude, but he was unarmed at the time. With Rittenhouse, the third dude involved was armed with a firearm. Vij, just got home from working the night shift and wanted to say hello from South Texas and keep fighting the good fight. Looking forward to listening to this when I wake up in the afternoon. Enjoy! Cold Warrior. I guess you can't make derogatory remarks towards Tulsi Gabbard. YouTube shuts it down. Tulsi Gabbard is just a meme. She should not run for any office. She's a deep-seated anti-gunner. Basically, it's just she's surfing mama, and she happens to be occasionally sane on foreign policy. That's it. So like a young female Ron Paul, only without Ron Paul's appreciation for most aspects of the Constitution. Yeah, that's a hard pass for me, dog. Kilroy was here. Olive Garden is the McDonald's of Italian food. Changed my mind. Sounds like it. Go to Sbarro's and get their meatball sub, and then hork it down in 3 bites like I did. That story was great. Masaibi, hi, Stax. I'm thinking about joining the U.S. military. I know you don't like it, but what are the specifics and how long should I wait to join? If you want to join the military, join the Coast Guard. Then you can get free cocaine, probably. Less of a thankless job. You're probably not going to get shot at by crazy people in a desert or a jungle somewhere. Maybe narcos, but it'll be part of the fun. And you'll get to go swimming quite often. Joseph La Rosa, can you make a video tutorial on your pasta sauce? I would love to do that if I had a better setup, but when we eventually move, I would like to have a kitchen set up with sort of a semi-studio for those things. Because otherwise people will constantly fucking ramble about how terrible the video is because I didn't film the food at the right angle. And so naturally it's not going to look as good as it looks to me because, you're seeing it on camera. We've got a chat over on Rumble. Joker1 Sticks, your live streams are early because of you being in Europe, but do you have a schedule? I keep seeing I missed them by a few hours. No real schedule. A little bit earlier, a little bit later. I just sort of do my thing whenever I have the energy. Of course, when you've got a newborn and you also edit and write books and you do your standalone videos and you do chores and you cook and stuff. I wouldn't have it any other way, though. I hate being idle. In my opinion, the real prison would be not having anything to do. That's what hell would be like. You're not allowed to do anything. You just have to sit there with your own thoughts. No, thanks. I don't like torture. Okay, next news story. Opinion, the end of the Trump-Musk bromance. Elon Musk is a bullshit artist. Donald Trump bellowed to applause at a rally in Alaska this weekend. The former president made the remark in response to Musk's recent comment that he had never voted for a Republican before a June special election in Texas. Now, Trump lashed out at Musk like a scorned lover, complaining to the crowd late Saturday, "He told me he voted for me." We don't know whether that comment was ever made. I don't know whether Trump or Musk is lying or they're both mistaken, and I don't give a fuck. Mommy and daddy are fighting, I suppose, is basically the sum and substance. I will tell you what I think that Musk is doing. Most of the opposition to him acquiring Twitter came from the far left. Oh my God, he's going to let Trump back on the platform. He's an evil far righter. He says he's going to vote Republican. So all you have to do is throw Trump under the bus while you're in the legal proceedings. Twitter probably gives you a settlement deal anyway, so you don't have to pay full price for the stock of the company. By the way, I think that's what Musk is angling for. I don't think that he minds buying Twitter. I just think that he wants the price to be lower and that this was his plan to begin with. You get the leftoids to lay off you and even celebrate you by simply saying Orange Man bad. What's there to lose? Trump is on Truth Social. He's not on Twitter, so it's an insular audience. What Musk is doing makes perfect sense from his perspective. Be funny if he did a 180 after he gets Twitter. And probably will, by the way. He'll be begging Trump to be on the platform because he knows it'll make millions of dollars. Let's see. Mojo Hansen, Rand Paul isn't in any of the GOP polls. Yeah, it's funny how they include plenty of people who haven't declared an intent to run, including DeSantis, but Rand Paul is never on the list. They used to do this to his dad, Ron Paul, actually. Spawn Freak, how do you know you're a fan of both sticks and razor? When you like pineapple and pizza and your steak well done. I would rather have it the opposite and forgo the pineapple pizza and have the steak cooked properly, which is medium rare. I won't compromise on that. I've had enough well done steak. The only reason to cook it well done, thin shaved, and you're putting it in like Asian food, and so it's heavily marinated and it's like, Hunan style or something like that. That's okay if you're cooking it that way. BC, Eric July, Ripa59 is a YouTube content creator that falls in your sphere. He launched a comic recently that made over $1 million in sales in the first 24 hours. Well, congratulations. Get that money. Get that ice. Let's see here. So yeah, Elon Musk and Trump are feuding, but I have a feeling that there's something going on behind the scenes. Either that or the establishment is paying Elon Musk in order to get him to drag Trump to try to keep him from being nominee or something. Now then, we've got the next bit of news. I did cover this morning, but it's too good not to cover it again. And by the way, how many people are watching live? Yeah, cross-platform, it's at 3,000 people already. Excellent. Sri Lanka PM, this is how I will make my country rich by 2025. This is a post by the World Economic Forum. You won't find it on the internet, though, not unless you have this archive link, because the WEF deleted the article a few days ago. I wonder why. You see, Sri Lanka is collapsing right now because of the exact economic proposals that are listed in this article. It was posted by the WEF because it's globalistic. It's neoliberal, it's socialistic, globalistic. That's their MO. And at this point, former PM of Sri Lanka, he's basically absconded. I think the president was prevented from leaving the country. I'm not sure about the PM. I think he may still be there too, although he may have successfully fled. Probably got a yacht, so he didn't sail to India or some shit like that. Had made an article in which they were talking about creating an economy that would be more equitable and be better for everyone. And a lot of it really is the same buzz terms that you get from the Green New Deal. You get it from the Dutch government, a la the farmers, confiscating their land and destroying the economy in the process. You get it from globalists. You get it from Biden, people like that. You've gotten it from Venezuela. You've gotten it from the opposition in Brazil against Bolsonaro and others. And it fails over and over again. So when the economy collapses a few years into implementing these things, we're talking 2015 is the start of this. Less than a decade later, the economy has effectively stopped existing. The government of Sri Lanka effectively does not exist at the moment. Well, we better cover our asses because we were the ones that were platforming the idiot that actually put these things into motion. You were buying organic fertilizer from China to try to hold up to the climate change horseshit. You did a shit ton of debt spending. And this article says it itself. Go through the fucking article and you'll see for yourself. Let's see it. Let me find the spine. The plan for an empowered Sri Lanka identifies the priorities of raising incomes, ensuring employment and housing for all. Where have we heard that before? And improving the quality of life for all citizens. Sounds a lot like Venezuela. I seem to recall that Chavez and then later Maduro also did mass debt spending in order to buy people microwaves and make sure that they had their commie block favelas. Yeah, it really worked for the economy now, didn't it? The plan is delivering impressive results. The current government has created over 460,000 jobs and helped more than 260,000 families secure a home. Yeah, and how many of those homes now are decrepit because of the economy that you've built? Strong progress is being made on plans to bring opportunities to rural communities by building necessary infrastructure. Pork barrel spending. Hey, there's 5 farmers out on this island. Let's build a bridge. Yeah, it'll take 100 years for that bridge to pay for itself, and the farmers could build their own bridge, but we need to regulate it to make sure the bridge is safe. So it'll cost like, $50 million or something. It's connecting rural and urban areas and linking Sri Lanka's economic hubs. You've only got one. You've got your capital. Like many third world nations, the only development index that exists there is in your capital, basically. It's like North Korea. You go anywhere outside of Pyongyang, basically you're in a total backwater. There are no other cities there that have any development index at all. And only the upper middle class and above in Pyongyang actually has a development index to begin with. It's a few 100,000 people out of the whole nation that have any form of lifestyle that would approximate even mild development. By the way, China is responsible for that partially too. And a program, Enterprise Sri Lanka, has been launched to encourage young and educated entrepreneurs who will receive loans to start SMEs. The government also invested in some mega projects, including the Colombo Megapolis constructions, to build a city of the future. Where have we heard that before? And irrigation projects, including the Moragakanda Kaluganga Dam, to generate green energy. Where have we heard that before? And provide water resources for agro production. And if you go through this, I mean, a lot of it is the same sort of overly theatrical, overly quasi-scientific or pseudo-scientific leftoid sort of terminology. So a lot of the words in here barely even make it into the dictionary. And it's obtuse for a reason. It's because there's no clear way to simply explain to people, hey, we've got a horseshit plan, please fund it. But that's the reality. That's the reality of leftoidism. It always has been, and it always will be. Sri Lanka has already begun preliminary discussions with another ASEAN country, Thailand, on a potential FTA, and formal talks were launched during a visit of the Thai Prime Minister to Colombo in July. This, too, is an important milestone, with Thailand taking over ASEAN chair next year. Okay, you're forming partnerships, largely China-centric, and doing the debt spending shuffle. I wonder why your economy sucks. Nobody could have possibly guessed that Sri Lanka would have problems. Show me a leftoid nation and I'll show you a country that in the next 10 years probably suffers some sort of collapse. You don't even need to predict it. Romy426, try Bang Energy, best in the biz. Zero everything with 300 milligrams of caffeine. Shout out from Connecticut. Sounds pretty good. Penguin Poster, you've mentioned a struggle with insomnia before. I just got through a whole night of no sleep and going into work now. Any tips? I find that chamomile is useful, but only if you use a hell of a lot of it, like 4 tea bags or more, and then only sporadically, because after you use it once, it takes a couple of weeks before it works again. It gives you bare minimum sleep capabilities. A lot of people, when they've got insomnia, it's basically just their mind works, overtime all the time. I get bored very easily. I've got raging ADHD, or what they would call ADHD. And so I'm constantly doing things. During the day, I'm hyper-stimulating myself constantly. If I'm not here at the computer doing some sort of work here, I'm walking around, I'm in the garden, I'm cooking, I'm doing something because I hate doing nothing. And it takes a while for that to cool down at the end of the day. Yeah, Mick Adams, heroin helps. Yeah, I'll put you to sleep, potentially permanently. Get some crack from Sleazy P. Martini. I'll paint on Rumble saying, CBD vape, you'll sleep. I don't think that I can use CBD, though, because I blew out some of my receptors in a massive overdose like 10 years ago. I don't think that I'll bother risking it. Now we've got the next news story. This is rather sad for various reasons. Now, U.S. announces additional $1.7 billion in aid to Ukraine. Our inflation rates are coming in, supposedly, in the next couple of hours. They're probably higher. People can't afford gas. People can't afford anything. The Western Europe's economy is beginning to falter as well. We're probably in a recession already, and we're definitely on the precipice of one at a bare minimum. Hey, let's send $1.7 billion in taxpayer money to another nation that happens to be engaged in a war. Let's proxy conflict it up. And you got Bolton going on CNN talking about coup d'etats and shit like that. Yeah, I wonder if there's a connection with the Ukraine situation. Again, to be clear, and some of you out there are very pro-Ukraine, I support the right of the Ukrainian people to be left alone. They should not be invaded. I oppose Russia and its war of aggression. But that doesn't mean that the U.S. is doing anything good for anyone by simply taking a bunch of money and giving it to groups that are going to funnel it to a bunch of oligarchs. And in some cases, it will be re-embezzled, it will be laundered, and people in the U.S. Congress will have effectively robbed the coffers of the American people. It's happened before. There was that one MP or some chick in Ukraine that tried to cross the border with millions and millions of dollars, probably from the U.S. aid dispersal, that initial, what was it, 40 billion or whatever it was, probably from that. Where was it bound to? Some agent in London, somebody in Paris, maybe Berlin. I bet it was. It's a goddamn grift. They're just trying to steal our money. It's not helping the average Ukrainian person. They're doing a major offensive right now against the Russians, trying to drive them out of a couple of areas that the Russians currently hold. Good luck to them. But I mean, you're already getting U.S. weapons and weapons from every fucking European country with a standing army. Why the hell do you need billions of U.S. dollars too? What the hell are you buying with it? It doesn't even make any sense. Joseph La Rosa, thoughts on the latest U.S. jobs report? Haven't seen that. Or maybe I did and it's dated at this point. I know unemployment is fairly low in the U.S., which is good. That's the one thing about the U.S. economy that hasn't collapsed so far. Problem is labor force participation is low, so it doesn't really matter. And the jobs that you have created, their wages aren't keeping pace with the price hikes, with the Biden price hikes. Timcast needs sticks, says Pete the Great. I would definitely go on Timcast when I'm back in the United States. I do plan that, and I do have an open invitation. I had somebody say, well, why don't you do Timcast IRL for your midterm stream? And I'm like, I've got a co-host. I've got my own stream. I've got Sleazy P. Martini as co-host. It's going to be fucking lit. Hell, we might get more people viewing live. We'll be in competition with the big boys with Sleazy P. Martini aboard. Everyone's going to be laughing. You're going to laugh so hard you puke. You won't even need to smoke crack to accomplish it. It's going to be, I'm excited. Now, the economy was booming under Trump, says XX9989243JND on Twitch. Yes, it was. We had 3 years of uninhibited good growth. We had low inflation, in some cases, in a couple of cases, negative inflation, which is great for many people anyway. We had no new wars. We had a calm border. Well, historically speaking, a calm border. We had basically the things were so calm that all that the legacy media could talk about was the latest tweet. For 3 fucking years, the only bitch that they had about what was going on was that Trump said something mean to a journalist. Who cares? Miss Posh Life. When? You and Sleazy? Yes, me and Sleazy P. Martini will be doing a midterm live stream this November. I already announced this days ago. It's going to be huge, so I wanted to make sure that people were on the up and up. Times will to be announced. Definitely once the results start coming in, obviously we're going live. We do have to do some testing beforehand, though. If we're going to have guests on, we need to calibrate that. We need to make sure everything works properly. I want to make sure that it's on YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitch. I wouldn't mind putting it on Odyssey. And if BitChute has streaming by then, I'd definitely put it on there. So I might have to pay for a better version of StreamYard. Ian O'Malley feels like Biden is paying off Ukraine in order to keep them quiet about Burisma, Hunter, etc. It just smells that way, you know. I do have suspicions. Yeah. It's a decent theory, a hypothesis. Next news story. This comes from Libs of TikTok, so you know it's good. Unreal. A dad says he's going to read from graphic books available to children in school and gets shut down by One Clay School's board before he even starts because it might be against the law to read from these books in front of children. These books are in school libraries. Yes, take that link and watch the video. It's a little over 2 minutes. Effectively, he attempts to read from some of the critical race theory-backed groomer books that are available in some of these schools. In some cases, they're part of the curriculum. So your kid is forced to read it and memorize, you know, the penis part and then regurgitate it on a test. In some cases, they've been donated to the school library. They really shouldn't be there, but at the very least, it's not part of a curriculum. So there's one partial saving grace. He attempts to read from one of them to show in front of the public here and the school board, hey, what's being taught in the school is clearly not appropriate for little kids. It's effectively pornographic in nature. It is explicit. You're talking about elementary school kids. This isn't a high school. It's not a college course. It's not a bunch of middle schoolers who will just say, ew, and they'll get all weird about it because they're weird about everything. These are kids that are 9, 10 years old. They don't need to be exposed to putting your penis in the slippery vagina back and forth and spraying semen inside and stuff like that. It's an attempt to groom. It's mentally crippled and weird. It's creepy. It's sleazy and not in the good way. What does the school board member say when he cuts the mic? Watch the video for yourself. We don't need you reciting pornography here. That's interesting. So you're effectively admitting to the explicit and inappropriate nature of the books in order to prevent him from, elucidating to the other parents that happen to be present mainly, and to the rest of the board, that it is pornographic or at least inappropriate for little kids. That's very interesting, because the entire argument in support of having these pieces of literature there is that they're not. So you've just accidentally evinced the argument of this individual just by muting his microphone and making your statement. Another district voted last week to keep a pornographic book in school library. This has become an alarming trend. I detail it all here. Again, this is not a high school. This is an elementary school. This is the one. Let me click on it. Give me some of the pictures. Yeah, there's a literal, cartoon porn in it. This is the visual I'd been picturing, but I can't feel anything. This is much hotter when it was only my imagination. Hey, Z, and he's getting his cock sucked. It's fairly explicit here. For years, my standard method of masturbation was stuffing a sock with the front of my pants and masturbating the bulge. This would evolve into hip thrusting while thinking of my latest gay ship. Yeah. And he's like imagining getting a blowjob and shit like that. No, I don't think that elementary school students need to be reading this sort of thing. And it's not like, like when you were in elementary school, there was always that one art book that had like the artful nudes in it, like the nude statues and portraits and stuff. And you looked at it, of course, if you were a young male like me, certainly you did. Although by that point, you're getting, computers, so you had other avenues for nudity. National Geographic did exist. They still had naked natives back in the 1990s. But this is completely different. This is explicitly sexual. It's not meant to be anything else. It's literally marketed as sexual material. It is effectively cartoon pornography. If you were to take hentai, if you were to take like Japanese lewd anime and put that in the school library for a bunch of fourth graders, how long do you think that it would be before the parents would come and burn your house to the ground? Methinks it wouldn't take very long for it to get removed from the school, and for you potentially to get prosecuted for perving on a bunch of minors. But this is it's sort of like House of Air. I'll make a comparison. For those of you that don't know, I've mentioned it a couple of times. House of Air was a documentary, an anthropological study of gay sexual behavior. It was placed on YouTube, I think around 2017 or thereabouts. It might have been a little bit earlier. That time runs together. I may have been inebriated some of the time. And basically all it was gay dudes fucking each other in the ass, fisting each other in the ass, shitting on each other, and doing all sorts of other fetishistic bullshit. It wasn't even like, just vanilla sex. Here's the gay mating ritual or something in a bathhouse in San Francisco, colorized circa 1992. It was extremely explicit. It was extremely over the top. It was blatantly fetishistic. It's beyond XXX. It was bizarre, actually. YouTube took 3 days to take it down. The way in which they justified the video was to declare it an anthropological study. Much like this, the only reason that they are tolerating this in schools is because it is cast off as sexual education. We're just educating kids about their natural sexual proclivities. We're not perving on anyone. We're not encouraging them to suck a dick or anything like that. I mean, we are, but no. This is just a learning experience. It's scientific and shit. Critical race theory does the same thing. It's not history. It's revisionist horseshit. But if you cast it off as history, or at least alternative history, all of a sudden it becomes censorship to keep it out of the schools. Yeah, teach your kids to hate themselves in the name of Karl Marx and teach them to suck cocks. That's exactly what we need to fix the educational system in the United States, by the way. This will be very helpful in countering the rise of China and India. Russ TM0725, congrats on the newborn. Loving this live stream time slot. Makes me look forward to my morning commute. Excellent. Just don't watch the video while you're driving. That could be a problem. Prez Brandon 46. Yesterday was the best Taco Tuesday ever. Thanks, Jill. Yeah, it was kind of ironic the day that it was on. Can you imagine how Joe Biden would make a taco too? Okay, so you have the shell. It's clearly not going to be heated. You take some scrambled eggs, and they're seasoned with a little bit of butter and just a bunch of waspish tears. Pile that in. Now you take some super mild chili, like the real white person chili. A jalapeno looked at it once at some point. It's probably, the spice in it is probably pepper. And you dump a bunch of that in there, cold, of course. Nothing's heated in this other than the eggs. Maybe a dab of sour cream. There's your breakfast taco, fucker. Enjoy. When you regurgitate it into the toilet, it will probably look better coming out than it did going in. That's Jill Biden's idea of a breakfast taco. To be clear, apparently she correlates that with the whitest, most Germanic Argentinian ever. Is her favorite group, her favorite voting bloc among the Latinx community. Jesus. Just think, multiple people had to correct that speech that she gave. Other people were the ones that wrote that shit. They thought that it was a winning line. Silver Kestrel, you mentioned watching Townsend's in one of your last streams. I love that channel as well. So relaxing and interesting. Yes, indeed. Comfy foods. Froust, I will be taking over my family's multi-generational small business soon. Congrats. We manage the entire supply chain for bigger companies. What changes to the infrastructure should the U.S. make to stop its inevitable collapse? I don't think the U.S. will inevitably collapse. The biggest change, constitutional amendment to prevent lockdownerism ever again. Hell, half the infrastructure problems we have right now could have been solved preemptively by simply not having lockdowns. That's all. Keep the government out of the business of truckers and people that drive trains and ships and so forth. Let them do their own thing. They know how to do it. They're the experts. Been doing it. Yeah, I've been driving this truck for 50 years. I totally don't mind my business. Know nothing about it. Government should come in and tell me exactly what temperature my cabin should be at and exactly what kind of wheels I should be using and how much I can load in the back of the truck. See, this is the problem, bureaucracy. Resilient Aardvark on Rumble. What did Jill actually say that sent folks off the cliff? She literally, and I do mean literally, proclaimed that Latinx, so Hispanic people, were basically like breakfast tacos. Oh, they're as diverse as the breakfast tacos that are available here in San Antonio. More or less an actual quote. Now, keep in mind, she's an old white waspish woman. Her idea of seasoning in food is black pepper. She would burn her mouth on Dutch cuisine. She is not qualified to talk about tacos. Just imagine her trying to cook one. Not even a breakfast taco, any taco. Just imagine her trying a tamale. Imagine if you gave her, for those of you that haven't been down south in, basically Mexico 2.0 in some cases, go to an ice cream truck. Usually they have corn cobs that are smeared with chili paste on them because the heat makes you forget about how hot it is outside. In southern Texas, it can hit 110 degrees in the sun. The ice cream will cool you off, but the chili smear on the corn cob will make you forget that you're hot in the first place. And then you go into the pool and roll around in fire ants or do whatever you want to do. And can you imagine her trying to eat that? I tried it. It was a little bit too sour for me. Not too spicy, but the sourness, I think that is mixed with lime, like a slurry or something. It was all right. I should have just stuck to the ice cream, in all honesty. Shane Kina, why the fuck are Musk and Rogan being such political idiots? They would gain so much more by going full bore with Trump. Arguably not, because now they can get the leftoids to shut up about them for a while. Shoot groomers. I got my powdered azomite. Now we wait. My super hot peppers will prosper. Azomite is some good stuff. To anyone out there that gardens or even has a little deck garden with potted plants, get a bag of powdered azomite, preferably the atomized version. Also, try looking into terra preta. Get some hardwood lump charcoal, and you can process it yourself with potting soil and use your own piss, potentially, actually, on it. A crafty Huragok, Uvalde's nuts. Bark Lounger, welcome to Fatherdom, Sticks. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Biden's odd enthusiasm about the Western populace becoming a minority and the weird phenomena of levels of testosterone so low. Thanks. I would like to see a study that fixes for testosterone levels between urban and rural people. I have a feeling that there's a little bit of a differential there. I personally chalk it up to pheromonal overload, which would obviously be more common in big city areas or even in the suburbs to an extent. But I don't know. I haven't seen a study on that. Somebody conduct it. Now we've got the next news story. Trump is out in front by 32.5 for the 24 Republican presidential nomination. The last four polls from, respectively, Politico, New York Times Siena, Harris, and Emerson. Number 1, Trump at 52, DeSantis at 21, Pence at 8. I don't know how Pence is in third place in all these, but we'll get past that. New York Times poll, Trump at 49, DeSantis at 25, Pence at 6. Harris poll, Trump at 56, DeSantis at 16, and Pence at 7. And Emerson, Trump at 55, DeSantis at 20, and Pence at 9. Now, what you will know. If nothing else changes, Trump has more than half of the Republican voters sewn up for a potential race. If you do not have a packed field, that is, you don't have 10 candidates running, which I don't think would happen, but you have just him versus DeSantis or just him versus Pence, Trump wins by a landslide in the primaries. He would get more than 60, probably 65%. In the proportional early races, he would mop up. He'd win on Super Tuesday, probably every state. He'd basically crush anyone that goes against him. The more crowded the field, the more likely it is that the other candidates get even less. And here's why. Trump has the highest in-party popularity of any Republican president in polling history. The fact is that the non-Trump voters in this sample, which doesn't even account for 10, 15, 20% of Republicans, depending on the poll, would lean heavily towards Trump. I don't think that the rest of them, even if he's only running against one other person, it would be difficult for anyone to cobble together 40%. They simply can't win the nomination against Trump. If Trump runs without any health issue, if nothing else changes, Trump will be the 24 nominee. There are some people that don't like it. There are some people that are very happy about it, but he will win. And this has been a common theme. There is no poll on this. There has never been a poll in which Trump is behind. And it's virtually linear, too. He hasn't lost any support. Unfortunately, they don't have a line graph on here, but I'm pretty sure it's basically unchanged for a very long period of time. Again, Harris, Trump, plus 40 in that poll, and well above 50%. If you've got more than half of the voters, it doesn't matter who runs against you. Not unless they are absolutely stellar as a candidate. I hate to tell you this, but DeSantis has not been time-tested. He won his position because Trump endorsed him. And you have the same problem with Youngkin. Youngkin won because his opponent self-imploded mostly. Who else is on that list? Mike Pence can't do it. Mike Pence can't even break 10% in any of these polls. Nobody wants Mike Pence. Who else is actually there to run against him? Rand Paul could. He's not on any of these polls usually, but I don't think that he would bother doing that because he enjoys having a career. And that's another thing, by the way, I would like to briefly point out. DeSantis would be an idiot to run, because taking time out of being governor, at a critical time economically especially, would look bad when you know that you're going to lose and a significant plurality of your own state's population, the Republicans there, really support Trump. It would probably lose DeSantis his career. I don't think that he's, I may not like everything about DeSantis, but I don't think that he's dumb. I don't think that he'll run. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. I have a Hispanic friend that puts sour cream on his hot dogs. Is this cultural appropriation, or does he just really have bad taste, or both? It is cultural appropriation. You should report him to the proper authorities, namely the ones at the ADL and Right Wing Watch. Hunter Wadley. Hypersexualized exposure at a young age is toxic. Trust me, it's fucked up. Fucked me up this day, and I'm 31. I think I'll just stay single forever. Yeah, well, my condolences about that. I mean, we don't need effectively what amounts to hardcore porn in elementary schools. Again, if you show it to middle schoolers, they'll get grossed out. If you show it to high schoolers, they'll laugh their ass off. We're talking about them trying to indoctrinate 8-year-olds. It's a completely different story. Imagine you're a senior in high school and you have the slippery vagina, penis in and out spraying. So you're going to laugh at that. It's going to be hilarious. Some people might get kind of uncomfortable. Most of them by that point have had sex anyway, and they're just going to laugh their ass off. Middle schoolers will find it grody. They'll find it creepy that they've got this 40, 50-something teacher reading to them from the book about vaginas or something. They'll get uncomfortable. It's probably for the best because then it'll prevent them from engaging in that retarded behavior. But show it to elementary school kids, and it could be, I find it to be corruption. Carol Talloway, from one expat to another. Thank you. Diaper fund it goes. Jake Martin, if you're into revolvers, check out the TSKIB SOOMT's MTS 255, a Russian-made revolver shotgun. It's a beautiful piece. Not huge into shotguns myself. Sounds interesting. I'd copy that out, but I can't do that without putting it on here. And then I can't copy it anyway. Whoops. The ADL can stuff a pack of frozen Hebrew National hot dogs up their crepper for all I care. Do have to admit, Hebrew National all-beef hot dogs are not bad. As long as you slice them lengthwise, how you do it, if you want it to be kind of cultural appropriation, take a Jewish seeded rye, 2 pieces, and then you slice 2 of the Hebrew National hot dogs lengthwise, you cook them up, and you make like a hot dog sandwich, and you can do it with like mustard or anything that's kosher. It actually is, I'm not going to deny, it's remarkably good. And their hot dogs, I believe, are made without preservatives. Nothing should be made with preservatives. Fuck, just eat it fresh or don't eat it at all. Unless it's an MRE, then it's okay. And then finally, we have one last news item here. Geraldo Rivera posting this on Twitter. Definitely clank along with his his tweet here. He's getting massively ratioed. I wonder why. Happy Monday. Just reading Paul Ryan's reaction to 1/6, January 6th insurrection. Made me think what a great winning 2024 ticket Romney and Ryan would be to help restore sanity and balance to the world. So there you have it. Geraldo Rivera has officially gone completely goddamn around the bend. His mind is completely gone. Paul Ryan, think about how gullible Geraldo Rivera is. Paul Ryan claims that he was crying on January 6th, and all of a sudden that qualifies him to be VP. Under Mitt Romney, of all people. Didn't we go through this twice before when Mitt Romney got shafted in favor of McCain, then was nominated and got fucked over backwards by Obama? How many more times do we have to teach you, old man? It seems to it's sort of like the idea of Hillary running for the 3rd time. How many fucking times do we have to reject you morons? How many times? How much of a glutton for punishment are you? How much of a glutton for punishment is Geraldo, by the way? Yeah, let me open Al Capone's vault here. Do you remember that one? It was before my time, but it's become such a meme, I can remember it vicariously. Back in the 1980s, Geraldo was a big talk show sort. He got punched by a skinhead once. This was meme-worthy. He did weird shit interviewing Satanists. He had the Great Satan at Large, for which he later apologized because he accidentally dragged a bunch of people's careers without any evidence of wrongdoing whatsoever, including ridiculing Ozzy Osbourne, who is a born-again Christian. Very interesting how heavy metal was ridiculed in those days, too, attacking Wiccans and Goths and shit. There was this one example, can't remember the year, in which they got intel that Al Capone may have buried treasure or a bunch of bodies or something in one of his secret vaults, and they found the vault. And so on live TV, Geraldo proceeded to pontificate to an audience, the largest cable audience in history. I don't know if that's been supplanted now, but at the time it was the biggest single audience for a live event that the world had ever seen. Tens of millions of people piled in. Can you imagine, by the way, it must have been comfy kino at the time. You're sitting there with the kids with your sweater and your cocoa. Oh man, there's going to be like a pile of gold or a pile of skulls in this vault. It's going to be great. Thanks, Geraldo. This really makes my yuppie fucking night before I watch the Ronald Reagan speech and then go to sleep with some Pepperidge Farm cookies. And they opened the vault, and there was nothing in there. There was like an old liquor bottle or something like that. And at the end, Geraldo Rivera, who had promised to dance around if nothing was in there, did a brief jig, and then he clearly was disgruntled and wandered off. Somehow this didn't kill his career, even though he is consistently wrong about virtually everything. Do you remember the time that the U.S. military kicked him out of, I think it was Iraq, because he started drawing a map in the sand of troop locations, and they were classified? Do you remember that one? Do you remember all of the times he has been owned, punched by Skinhead, Al Capone's vault, shown up by a bunch of so-called Satanists, that some of which I think sued him civilly afterwards, the map in the sand for Iraq, all of the times that this moron has been completely wrong with his broken clock strategy of just making 20,000 shit posts every day and hoping that one of the things that he says isn't ridiculed and universally scorned. Why do people still fucking pay attention to Geraldo Rivera? What a goddamn loser. Now he usually takes pictures on his yacht with his grandkids. It's like, yes, we understand, Geraldo. You're a grifter and you made it well. Good showman. Very entertaining. You made millions of dollars. Okay, you've got a yacht. Clearly, Paul Ryan and Romney, the yacht class is pushing that ticket because they're in touch with the average working class voter. Clearly, Geraldo Rivera remembers what it's like to be in the middle class or the working class after 30, 40 years of being a rich bitch. And he was fucking, I think he was fucking Bette Midler at one point, which is, okay, I'm sorry for causing your bulimia. He was, fucking models and probably doing drugs and weird shit like that. He lived the classic speed 80s lifestyle with the lifted shoes and everything else. Quite something. Shinobi Kenobi, Trump 2024, DeSantis 2028. I'd prefer Rand Paul 2028, but I could deal with DeSantis after. Gary Jean. If you ever decide to build an AR, look into the BRN 180. It's based off the AR-18 instead of the AR-15. Short stroke gas piston system versus DI. Interesting. Not huge into ARs myself. I would get an AR-15 just specifically because it pisses off the libs. That's the only reason I would even buy one. They're much more powerful, serviceable rifles. They're much more compact tactical pistols that are rifle-like in function. And really, ultimately, I'm a revolver man. So the AR-15 is on back burner. Unless one happens to be there at the gun shop when I'm back, and I'm like, fuck it. I'll drop whatever this is, I'll buy some ammo, I'll do a shooting video, and it'll pay for itself because all the liberals will get pissed off. Oh my God, far-right extremist Sticks Hexenhammer needs to get red flagged or something. He just bought the baby-killing rifle. He bought the rifle that shall not be named. Yeah, it'd be funny to watch their ignorance. Hunter Wadley, I'm a Floridian. I love my governor. Yes, my father exposed me to way much at a 5 to 8 year range. It's funny, my father's middle name is Joseph. Hope it's not the same, Joseph. Jesus. Kyle Yeakel, I recently bought a Desert Eagle, to fight communism. If you want to fight communism, just buy food because they're not allowed to have it. It wards them off. It's sort of like holding up garlic to a vampire. You hold up a hamburger or something. Any food that's not made of bugs or tree mulch. Prez Brandon 46, when Beto loses to Abbott, which he will, you are correct, that will make him a 3-time loser. Senate versus Cruz, presidency, and now governor. Will he be politically dead finally? Yeah, I think that third time's probably a charm at ending his career. He'll go off and he'll have a slot on MSNBC. So don't worry. Beto will still keep up his 6-figure a year, midlife crisis actor bullshit. His wife will probably cheat on him at some point, with someone more successful. They're that kind of couple. Trust me, I can read him like a book. And he'll, skateboard around. His kids will continue to think he's lame, but he'll have a bank account. He can snort coke with Geraldo Rivera. R.T. Huxley, hey, Sticks. I have been really happy growing vegetables in my garden. Do you have any tips about growing spinach? I want to embrace my inner Greek. Just planting it when it's cool out. I don't know. I've had some problems with spinach bolting. Because Vermont, sometimes you can get an inordinate hot, sunny weather at just the wrong time, and it can really fuck with the cool weather crop. So azomite, as before, using Terra Preta is always a good idea. Jake of all trades, 111. Best interview ever was Gigi Allen on Geraldo. That was a funny one of his betters. By the way, please don't send any more super chats. I've got to get through a few more here, and I'm out of news stories, and we're going on an hour 20. Make punk rock great again, too. Just uploaded a new song on the Disseminators page for Billy Joe. Green Day is Dookie. Good riddance. Ha ha ha. Little 150 banger. You might like it. Rock on. All right, everyone. Check that out on the Disseminators page. Green Day gets a shout out. Green Day is Dookie. Good riddance. Eric writes, meow. Yes, the cat has gone, which I'm very thankful for. Usually when it's hot, the cat wants to snuggle. It's like, yeah, I realize that my body temperature is lower. That's why I don't want to snuggle you. Go away. Mojo Hansen, leftism ideology is basically having Vegas forced into your living room and being expected to love it. Your rights be damned. Yeah, kind of. By the way, why the fuck would anyone want to go to Las Vegas? I don't understand. Okay, a bunch of noise, a bunch of lights. You go off the main road and everyone's drunk and puking everywhere and there's fucking crack whores. It sounds more like hell to me. My idea of a vacation is go somewhere where there are as few people as possible. Cabin in the woods, secluded beach, a glacier. I'd rather go to a glacier. I'd rather be on an ice floe in the North Atlantic and just sit there with a paddle, sculling it around in the Arctic waters, looking at random fish and birds and shit. I'd rather freeze my ass off and become like a frozen mummy than go to Las Vegas. Yeah, Resilient Aardvark. Las Vegas equals creepy shit. Yeah, and people that go there are creepy too sometimes. Oh, we got new inflation numbers? Oh, for the love of God, right at the end of the stream. Let me look this up and see if this is true. I wish I had a link. Let's see. I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing a link to the inflation numbers. I'm seeing 8.8 was the expected as of earlier. Somebody DM me on Twitter if you have a news link. I have to confirm. Nico Fash, hey Sticks, any chance of you talking about the Aurora Linda book in your Occult Lit series? I could consider that. What's this? Okay, yeah, that's not inflation. It's Jill Biden. I get news tips all day, but apparently I'm being informed that inflation has skyrocketed to 9.1%. That would be, by the way, much higher than expected, even by economic junkies. I don't think I expected it to be above 9. Not yet. Maybe 8.8, 8.9 or something. Somebody send me a link, though, on Twitter. We'll have to do a standalone video about that tomorrow, certainly, regardless. All right, I see some message requests. BLS.gov. Consumer price index increased. Yeah, the CPI. Thank you, by the way. I won't use your username because I don't know if you want me to read it out live here. It is being reported that inflation has effectively hit 9.1%. Hold up, though. Is there a just a second here because I've got to read through this briefly. Because it might be a different metric than the one that would be publicly reported, generally speaking. And of course, it doesn't list that. These people, government is useless. Yeah, it appears that we're at 9.1% inflation. Thanks, Joe. Let's go, Brandon. Real cool. Boy, oh boy. All right, anyways, I think that I'll go off now because, yeah, we got the inflation numbers right as I was going to end the stream. I think there's a couple more super chats. Friendly Neighborhood Sawyer, listening while walking. I'm trying not to be a fat ass. Good. Don't let yourself go like leftoids would want you to. So, yeah, I'm going to go off now. I'm going to explore the inflation numbers and see what the fuck is going on because I'll have to compare that to see if that's using the same metric as the 8.7 I think it was at. That's a really significant rise, but I'm not sure it's the same exact metric that's normally used in reporting. So I'll figure that out. That's about all. Peace out.